Hey, where was I? Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. That's right. We are the signal without the slop. Guys, we are gonna dive into a whole bunch of stories. Let's get started. Let's get started. A whole bunch of there's more drama going on, right? Yesterday we had the OSMU drama and a bunch of other stuff, and today it looks like we've got more news, more drama. Let's dive into it. So we're gonna take a look quickly at a CBS video. Essentially, yeah, looks like we're still pretty early. So it seems. Anyways, beyond that, right? Looks like there's a shitcoin treasury. I mean, there's a few shitcoin treasuries, but the most recent announcement is some company that's gonna pretend that they're gonna hodl bonk. Yeah, we're gonna make fun of that. That's that's just nonsense. I think one of the most interesting stories that's happening right now is Monero's 51% attack, and the thing that I find most interesting about this, right, is that in the last few months, I've had to listen to a lot of bullshit from Monero proponents, right? A lot of these people coming into Bitcoin spaces and talking about how Bitcoin is the government's, like they control it. It's a CIA thing, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? Bitcoin's dead. It's too transparent. You can see everything. And in the meantime, right, they're sitting there talking to me about all of these privacy features. And yeah, if you were somehow lured into storing your value into a chain where the whole base layer is obfuscated and you have no idea what the actual circulating supply is, or the max supply for that matter, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, you shouldn't have listened to these people. I guess there's something to be said for people who talk with conviction, Let's see here. What did Moonshine feel? What did you have to say here? Never bought Monero. I think Monero is the one that is not private but claims to be. Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is that some of their tech is pretty interesting. However, they've had, like, I think I was talking about this last night with Mr. Hoddle, that they've had like something like 14 hard forks or something like that. At one point, they were hard forking every 6 months. That's not, you're not storing value there. This is just nonsense. Anyways, yeah, right. Like here, the Michael saying this is actually good for Monero. Yeah, for sure, it's great. Actually, you know what it's good for? It's good for Cubic, right? It's good for that because they're kind of showing everyone how they can go and attack Monero, and not only that, but make miners even more profitable with their shitcoin. And they're doing a great job advertising their shitcoin. Anyways, okay, we're going too long on this one. Moving on. Don't worry, we're going to actually dive into the story itself next. Jack Dorsey. So you guys know I'm a critic, right? I can't help it. I criticized Jack because I found it took him too long to roll out Lightning and Bitcoin payments for merchants with Block. And Steak and Shake rolled that out first, right? We all know this. But it's pretty interesting, right? In the last few weeks, he's announced that they're working on a chip that's going to be released very soon, right? A mining chip. And at the same time, yesterday, he just announced that they're planning to, and this is Block, is going to release a full stack Bitcoin suite, right? Like, what does that mean? Anyways, we're gonna dive into that and see what that means. And yeah, guys, should have listened to the Bitcoin sign guy back in 2017. And we'll see why. All right. It's going to be a good show. Before we dive into it, you know the deal. We're going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor. And we are going to be right back with all the fun and the drama and the stories. Monero not going to make it. Anyways. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. Okay, let's dive into it. Right, we'll start off with some good hopium, right? The Bitcoin sign guy. Why not? We'll give him Give him some love. So the Bitcoin sign guy, right, held up that sign in July 2017. I still remember this. I was a noob. I was totally confused. I was buying shit coins. I didn't understand anything, but I knew I was too late. That's one thing I was 100% sure of. In 2017, I was definitely too late. And obviously I wasn't, right? Because here we are in 2025, and there's still a whole bunch of people that think they're too late. And the video that we're going to show with the with Gary Gensler's the previous SEC, was she the secretary, former secretary, staff secretary? Anyways, you're going to see. We're, believe it or not, in 2025, we are still early. And guys, this is no joke. 5,000% since 2017. Now, if we can't imagine, right? If we can't actually think of how insane that actually is in terms of purchasing power and in terms of beating inflation. I mean, and all you had to do was buy it, right? Hold it and put it in self-custody, right? And make sure you back up that seed phrase. Like, really that simple. A lot simpler than, going into the stonk market and, throwing whatever darts you can at the wall and hoping to see what sticks. So yeah, should have listened to the Bitcoin sign guy. I did. I listened to the Bitcoin sign guy. But I mean, he's not the one that orange pilled me. I'm just saying. I saw that and I was like, wow, he's behind Janet Yellen saying buy Bitcoin. That's that was pretty edgy stuff. And it was huge. It was totally huge when it happened. Okay. All right, moving on. You guys probably saw this from from Scott Melker yesterday, right? The tool of all streets. NASDAQ listed Safety Shot. You're like, the hell is Safety Shot? That's right. It's just some garbage company. They received 25 million in bonk, right? It's a free token that you can just create out of thin air. And yeah, they're going to be launching a treasury strategy. Okay. That's the Safety Shot stock chart, right? That's their that's like their monthly chart. You recognize this pattern? You recognize this one? It goes down and to the right, and there's long wicks as it goes down and to the right. It's called a pump and dump. That's what these things look like. Anyways, very interesting. I don't know why people are falling for this shit. I mean, look, I get it to a certain extent, right? People want to pretend that they're going to be able to catch up. I know this because I was a person who was pretending that I was going to catch up. And it didn't work, right? I just got wrecked with shitcoins. Okay. And every time you see one person that, made 25, 30,000%, right? That is just survivorship bias. That's all that is, right? It's the one survivor that you're seeing, and you're not seeing the thousands of wrecked people in the back that aren't standing there going, hey, I got wrecked. Yeah. Don't fall for this crap. It's just nonsense. Okay. Anyways, here we go. This is the video I wanted to show. It's a tweet from Alex Thorne, CBS Platforms, Gensler's former chief of staff, in a segment about Bitcoin and crypto. Let's play this. This is yeah.
That potential is why investors are betting that crypto will soon become part of everyday life.
We want our fellow Americans to know that crypto and digital assets, and particularly Bitcoin, are part of the mainstream economy and are here to stay.
But for Amanda Fisher, that's a gamble just not worth taking.
We heard the same thing about subprime mortgages going into 2008. We heard the same thing about complex financial derivatives going into the last crisis too. These products are wonderful, and they're ways to extract so much value in wealth until they're not. And I fear that crypto is going to follow down the same path. Things are going great many times until they're not.
Okay, I have said this as well, right? Cabbage Patch Boy. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but anyways. Okay, so look, I have said similar things as well, right? And I think there's an important distinction, right? There's Bitcoin, right, as we know, and then there's shitcoins, right? And now there are all of these derivative products which are indeed borrowing from Bitcoin's credibility, the same way that altcoins have done this from the beginning. It's always borrowing from Bitcoin's credibility. And unfortunately, I do believe that she is right about the crypto aspect. And I know it's, people that are holding bags of shitcoins are like, well, you're just biased because you hold Bitcoin. No, I'm just biased because I already got wrecked with shitcoins. Okay, so I've already been on this rodeo. I already know what it's about. And like it's the same story over and over again. All they do is they just keep showing you different products, but it's the same story. So look, the derivative products, right? We're seeing the Bitcoin treasury companies. As you guys know, I've talked about this ad nauseum. There will be some winners. There's going to be mostly losers. I can guarantee you, though, I can almost guarantee you that the shitcoin treasury companies, every single one of them is going to fold into irrelevance. Okay. And I can say that with confidence because I have been in this space since 2017 and I have looked at thousands of altcoin charts against Bitcoin, and every single one is the same. Down and to the right. It's always down and to the right against Bitcoin. So this is not going to change. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, it's some good advice, but I still think we're super early. I don't like the marrying, and the reason why I say I think we're super early is because we're still seeing people who actually, like JD Vance, who claim to hold Bitcoin, but they keep mentioning Bitcoin and crypto. Granted, that could be because of incentives, right? Obviously, he doesn't want to isolate people. He doesn't want to, maybe push people out of the picture. So therefore, he uses more inclusive language. That could be why. It could also just be that some of these people don't really understand the difference yet. I could say that maybe it's a bit of both, Hard Hodl's asking a question here. Will there be another president's coin next election? I mean, he's setting the precedent, right? So I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. I'd like not to see that, but I don't have much faith. I definitely don't have much faith in that. Anyways. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Monero story. All right, let's dive into it. All right, so people might have been seeing this tweet coming around from Cubic. Cubic is just some other shitcoin. There's much misunderstanding about what we're doing with Monero mining and what our process is. Let us clear it up. We're not creeping up from the shadows to do a quick hit takeover. We are publicly announcing every move and let Monero prepare their defenses. So, I mean, look, at a high level, this just seems like good marketing, right? That they're essentially attacking and crippling probably the most popular privacy token out there. And instead of people talking about Monero, they're talking about Cubic. That's what's actually happening for them. Now, let's dive into what's actually happening, right? I went in to go get a TLDR on this because there's just so many tweets back and forth. I don't want any of that stuff. So here we go. Cubic Arrival blockchain is reportedly controlling a majority of Monero's hash rate, potentially exceeding 51%. This has led to a 6-block deep chain reorganization with 60 orphaned blocks in 24 hours. It would suck to think you've got like 150, 200 Monero, and then the next morning you wake up and it turns out you've got 0. Anyways, suggesting Cubic's ability to manipulate the blockchain, the attack is described as an economic strategy, luring miners with higher rewards in Cubic tokens. That's right. And it peaked at a hash rate of 4.9 gigahash per second. That's like a solo miner. That's kind of funny. Okay. Let's continue. Let's continue with this story, right? Because there's obviously more to this. All right, so the control could allow Cubic to reverse transactions, censor transactions, or attempt double spending. Though Monero's privacy features may limit some of the risks, like double spending, the attack has caused Monero's price to drop 10% in 24 hours. To be honest, that's not even that big of a drop. Something like this would have happened 5-6 years ago. Who knows, man? This could have been this could have been like a Sears crash, like 80% or something. So it's not that I don't know. It's not that crazy. So yeah, here we go. Kubik's founder, Sergey Ivanchegio, I destroyed that last name, I apologize, claims the action is not malicious, but intended to strengthen Monero against future threats by exposing vulnerabilities. Now, I appreciate that framing. And the reason I appreciate that framing is because I come from a corporate background and I understand what bullshit sounds like. That's just total sales bullshit. You know, he just, for whatever reason, right, he wants to make it seem like he's actually doing something good. But to a certain extent, right, I guess there is some truth to it, because in the same way with Bitcoin, the more Bitcoin is attacked, the stronger it gets. The argument could be made, right? The more Monero is getting attacked, the stronger it will get. Maybe. I just don't see it, though. I don't know. I don't see it. So the attack is costing an estimated 75 million a day. Okay. And this is due to its fixed block rewards and low transaction fees. So yeah. Aren't you glad you aren't holding Monero? Yep. I don't know. I'm not surprised. I mean, these shenanigans, this is, again, this is another reason why you don't want to hold tokens of these smaller chains. That almost every single one of them is susceptible to this type of attack, and all of them cost less to attack than Bitcoin. So it's like, why would you do this to yourself, right? It's almost like people are gluttons for punishment. You know, all this with the hope, right? It's the FOMO. It's this far off idea that doesn't exist. This could be, you know, it doesn't need to do what Bitcoin did. It just needs to do a little bit of what Bitcoin did, right? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Last piece of hopium here. We're going to take a look at where are we going here? Jack Dorsey. That's right. Let's take a look at what Jack is doing. All right. So, as some people know, right? Block is introducing Bitcoin mining hardware soon, but specifically, it's essentially an ASIC chip. I think that this is very important. This is kind of one of the sticking points, right, with Bitcoiners that we have. Like, some people may not want to admit it, but yeah, like miner centralization is a real concern. Okay, social attacks on Bitcoiners, right? Those are, to me, those are two real concerns. So, you know, whether or not Jack's development ends up coming to fruition, right, and they actually are able to release an ASIC chip that can then compete with what's currently going on in the market, if that happens, that is fantastic. But guess what? Even if it doesn't, it still pushes the envelope, right? Because there's going to be a bunch of, and I hate to use this corporate slop language, but there's going to be lessons learned, right? They're going to see what they did wrong, and hopefully they decide to fix those mistakes and continue to invest in it. Anyways, I'm getting like a little bit ahead of myself, but I like to set the expectation, because because of the work that I did do, I saw many very interesting innovations that were funded by some of the biggest companies in the world. And they got like to the last step, and it turned out that it just wasn't ready for, wasn't ready for prime time, or there was some big thing that, that was missed. And they had to start all over again from scratch, so it's just, for me, I'm like, I'm keeping my expectations tempered. I'm looking forward to that coming out. Okay, so we've got the mining chip, and the other piece to this, right? The other piece to the mining is he made another announcement having to deal with essentially offering a full stack integration with Bitcoin, right? So what does that mean, right? Here in particular, from the Bitcoin Magazine article, they specifically reference full stack accounting integration for Bitcoin merchants who want to accept a digital currency but could not because of lack of tooling, now have a door wide open. However, full stack in this particular case means a few different things, right? Like, it's not just one piece. So you're gonna have Bitcoin payments processing, right? Which he just started to announce that, and it's not every single merchant. Okay, there's also going to be the Bitcoin treasury management services, right? They're also going to be putting that into it. So there's another piece to the puzzle. So that's going to be doing competition against other companies which are currently offering these services. One company that comes to mind is Swan. They're going to be doing Bitcoin lending products. So right away, it's going to be doing competition against Strike and River and some others, right? And what else do we got? There's going to be integration with existing systems, right? Which is just compatibility with the existing systems. And of course, the big one that the government loves, compliance, right? They love compliance. So the thing I do like about Block, even though I do criticize a lot of what Jack Dorsey does, they stack quietly. This is really what I respect. I mean, I get it, right? I get that there's a certain balance between making noise, right? Letting the public know what it is that you're doing. However, I do have a problem with companies using Bitcoin as the circus pony over and over again. And I do appreciate that this company actually just stacks quietly. You know, they stack Bitcoin. Yep. They talk about it in their quarterly reports, right? They let people know they do have Bitcoin. But at the same time, they're building this infrastructure all around it. And you know what? Does this force other Bitcoin treasury companies to hurry up? Does this force them now to move ahead and go, okay, listen, you know, now there's another company. Block isn't even a Bitcoin treasury company. And look at what they're doing, right? They're going to be offering all these services, these products and services that people find of value that bring revenue in. So now all of a sudden there's a stark contrast between the company that is just taking on debt, issuing bonds, and issuing more shares to purchase Bitcoin, and another company that has services and products that are bringing in new revenue, which allows them to buy Bitcoin without diluting shares, without creating bond products, and they still stack. And you know what that does? A business like that is more resilient. They're able to hang on to their Bitcoin a whole lot longer. Anyways, that's, you know, obviously that's my opinion. We're going to find out what happens because time is moving and we're going to see, right? If I'm wrong, then man, I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to have to come back and do a show and be like, I was wrong. These companies are going to be able to borrow forever and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin goes up forever. However, if the other side plays out, unfortunately, we get to say, nope, this time it was not different. It's very much the same as it has always been. Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I will catch you tomorrow. Take it easy. Peace.